Looks
Yeah,
good.
we're good, Don.
Okay, we're on. We're
Here,
filming.
Don. This is for Judy. You can toss that.
Yeah, you can have one. We'll light them. You can have one. Hopefully these will light on fire.
Okay. What are we doing with the wreath? You're tossing it in.
Well,
Don.
why don't we do that right at the end before we?
The wreath?
Yeah. No. Well, all of this.
Okay.
So yeah, let me talk for just a second here, and then we'll do it. So
You got the camera going?
Yeah, it's up right above.
Oh, is it filming all right with my hat up in the air? That's the one that's going to do.
so.
He's getting the film deal.
Well, you guys, I really appreciate the opportunity to do this with you. You know, this is kind of a sentimental issue for any family that has dealt with the death. And I know you guys, you know, especially in your case, it's been a few years.
Yeah.
But it's you don't forget, you know, and so it's important that I think you bring some closure at some point. You know, people keep ashes on their mantle for years and years and years sometimes before they can really do anything with them. Others want to do it right away. You know, I think our culture still burial is still more common than cremation, but either one is appropriate. And but one of the things that, you know, there's defining moments in all of our lives, and I don't know if any of you happened to catch it, but a few years ago there was a TV series that came out that was called Tell Me Your Story. Did any of you see that? This was kind of a defining moment for me. These guys, they were from Brigham Young University, got this wild idea. They wanted to know just in random terms what kind of lives people lived. And so they put a map of the United States on the wall, blindfold this guy, turn him around, he throws a dart at the wall, and it landed in Ohio or somewhere. So then they got a blown up map of Ohio, same thing, threw a dart, closest town, okay, I can't remember the name of the town, but they go to this little rural town in Ohio. And then they go to a Walmart store and they say, they ask this person, what's a street close to your house? Not the street you live on, but just a street in the area. So she told them. They said, okay. So then they go down by this street and they ask another person, you know, do you know any addresses on this street? You know, not your own address, but somebody else's address. So she gives them an address, and they said, okay, let's go. Go and knock on this door, and they introduce themselves and say, we're here to have you tell us your story. And just totally random. And I've probably watched it a dozen times or so, and the way they ended up at somebody's doorstep, just absolutely random. But I realized everybody has a story, and they're fascinating. And it wasn't until then that I got really, really interested in knowing more about my parents. I mean, they raised me, but I didn't really know much about them. My father's parents were both dead long before I was even born. I knew my maternal grandparents a little bit, but they lived a long ways away, and we only got to see them once a year or so. But after watching this series, I got really interested in knowing more about my own family and my own heritage, and realized, hey, these people have a story. And so, you know, I hope that both of you will take an interest in the story of your fathers that have passed away. And I promise you, it's fascinating. You know, there's no two stories alike. Everybody goes down different paths. Everybody has a different story to tell. But every one of these episodes on TV just kind of held me spellbound. And one of them, they ended up on this guy's farm, a black farmer, had no teeth, just, I mean, but he had two sons that were doctors, a daughter that was married to a high-powered engineer, and I'm looking at this saying, nobody would ever look at this guy and think that he had any success in life whatsoever. And yet when you start listening to a story, it's fascinating. So I would encourage you to, if you haven't already, to take a little bit of interest, talk to others that knew your parents. There's a lot of online resources now that have information, you know, birth and death and life sketches and stuff that I don't know where some of that stuff comes from, but it's really, really fascinating. I recently found some information on my father's side as my I think 3 great-grandmothers came across the plains with the Mormon pioneers. And before they left Nauvoo, Illinois, her husband was involved in a gun battle and shot through the neck. And so she brought her invalid husband in a wagon along with 5 little children. And, you know, I mean, man, I didn't know any of that stuff, but it's really interesting. Yeah. So I didn't know either of your dads, but I guarantee you they have a very interesting story to tell and one you should know. You know, the death of a loved one always brings a lot of questions. You know, some of them you can kind of sort through yourself. You know, some people turn to family members, some turn to religious leaders. But, you know, I think it's important that those questions that you have during the time of the death be answered to your satisfaction. So, you know, if they haven't been, I encourage you to get with somebody that can help you sort through that and understand death and what an important part it plays in life. Of course, sorrow is normal and natural. The only way we can take sorrow out of death is if we take love out of life. And, you know, and so of course we're going to be sorry when a loved one passes away. No question about it. And none of us would take the love out of life that comes from parents and families and others. So we want to do that. I can testify to you that death is not the end. You know, a lot of people have questions about that. But it's really a beginning. It's another step forward in Heavenly Father's plan for His children. And I firmly believe that. I don't know what your beliefs are, and it doesn't really matter. As long as you find peace and comfort in knowing that it's a natural part of life, we're all going to take the same step. I believe that we're going to be with our loved ones again. You know, when we die, our mortal bodies are put in the grave or they're cremated, but our spirits live on. And I just know that to be true. And I know that the time will come when we'll be reunited with loved ones in a different realm that we're in now. I don't think we have a great understanding of that, but I know it to be true, and I find a lot of peace and satisfaction in that knowledge myself. You know, I hope that are your moms still alive?
Mine is.
Yeah, yeah.
How are they doing? Are they getting on with life?
Oh, yeah, real well. He's
good.
80. Still
Really?
kicking real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got some
Good.
health issues, but yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, you know, I hope that you'll help comfort them. I know it's been a while, and you know, we do recover from it. You know, we never forget our loved ones, but we do recover from the shock of a death when it comes. Just in closing, you know, I hope that you have great memories of your fathers or your deceased loved ones, and that you'll cherish those memories. You know, we don't do it very much anymore like they used to, but I would encourage you to write some things down that you remember, because, you know, your kids, your grandkids are going to want to know about those things. You know, we all have that desire. In closing, let me just read the words of a song that was written by Gordon B. Hinckley. It says, "What is this thing that men call death, this quiet passing in the night? 'Tis not the end, but genesis of better words and greater light. O God, touch thou my aching heart, and calm my troubled, haunting fears. Let hope and faith transcendent pure give strength and peace beyond my tears. There is no death, but only change, with recompense for victory won. The gift of him who loved all men, the Son of God, the Holy One." So that, you know, I think there again we get some peace in that. And I say that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. So now go ahead and
you want one, or we'll light them on fire, I guess, and summon the Valkyries. Yeah, in a Viking weddings, they have typically a funeral pyre.
I've never seen it before. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe soak it in some gasoline. Come on, man. You don't play with matches when you're a kid? You can't get anything to burn.
Oh, look at that. It's burning.
How are we doing for kills here? Yeah, we'll have to back us up.
Are we going to go?
Yeah, it's good. This one's still burning. It was a good idea at the time.
Oh, okay.
Try to hold it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's too much wind.
Do I need to back up here a little bit? Yep. Pretty quick.
Come on. Trying. Might be wrapped too tight.
Oh well, we'll blow on it. You get the. All right, we can get the ashes ready here.
Just let them go slow and easy, Bob. Okay. You go on the other side of the bow line. Unless you want to put them down together.
Yeah.
That's you guys.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, Robert. Okay, Fred.
You guys.
To you.
He must have run out of battery
Oh, man. Going home.
Those things, when they get a certain point, they just go home. You can't control them.
Here you go.
Throw that in there.
There you go. Okay, did you get a picture of it?
It should be getting videotaped. There they go. Fritjof and Robert Johansen. Near the beach.
Well, I hope that brings some closure to you guys. It does.
It does. Thank you very much. This is awesome. Oh shit, I lose my phone. So I got the voice recorded, so. Oh,